Welcome back to Vielin, where we will be working on the stables using Minecraft and Conquest Reforged. The story we have today is about the stable owner and his son. The stables had been in his family for generations, and when the stable owner took control after his father's passing, he had big plans to make the business even more money. He was ambitious and a little ignorant to just how much his father did for the farm. After a few years of implementing some of his ideas, it became apparent that his new investments were hurting the stable's profit margins. To overcome this economic shortfall, the stable owner decided to marry into money. He was a very handsome and charming man who never had issue with courting the opposite sex. This made him reticent to settle down as he enjoyed the bachelor life a little too much. The business, although not currently profitable, elevated his personal station within high society. And it was with these two tools at his disposal that he managed to woo a woman from a wealthier family and thus prop up his then floundering business. What was initially a union of opportunity turned to one of love and affection. His new bride had an affinity for horses and was able to teach the stable owner how to better manage his business affairs. Life was good for the couple, and the stable owner felt like the luckiest man. After years of trying to conceive, however, no children were forthcoming. Out of desperation, the stable owner turned to a merchant he knew, who dealt in less reputable and sometimes downright illegal practices and goods. This was a man you did not want to upset. But he was desperate. Financially, he was in a position to pay for the fertility treatments which he secretly put into both his and his wife's food. After a time it worked. His wife fell pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Unfortunately, the medications he had been feeding his wife had some terribly adverse effects, and she died soon after giving birth to their son. This almost broke the stable owner. If he didn't have his boy to look after, he was not sure what would have happened to him. So the stable owner, through his grief, pushed on, using the skills his wife had taught him to increase his profits and provide for his son. He had plans for his only child. He wished for him to find love within the aristocracy, to further his station, much the way the stable owner's own wife had greatly improved his life. As his son grew older, however, it was apparent he had inherited his father's looks and wit, but not his drive for success. It wasn't long before the stable owner's son was bedding multiple women throughout the town and shedding himself of any responsibility. If the stable owner was honest with himself, he had to admit it was very similar to his own actions at that age. But he was forced to grow up fast with the passing of his father. His son had no such impetus to sort out his own life. The stable owner did not want his son to get trapped with siring a child to a woman that was beneath them and ruin his standing within the town. He couldn't seem to control the boy's behaviour, and no matter what he said, his son ran around the town like a jackrabbit in season. So again, the stable owner sought out the merchant who provided him with a tonic that would keep his son sterile and unable to reproduce. He would just stop feeding him the tonic once he could line up a suitable marriage for the boy. The plan worked after a fashion, as his son fopped about town doing as he pleased with who he pleased without ever fathering a bastard. One rainy night things were going to get far more complicated, however. As the stable owner was enjoying a meal one evening, he assumed his son was out gallivanting with a hussy, when he stormed in with a girl on his arm and a look of worry etched on his face. "Father, you have to help us." Looking at the soaked, albeit elegant woman on his arm, the stable owner recognised her as one of the Lord's daughters, and noticed that she was showing a small baby bump that could no longer be hidden. A woman more than worthy of his son's hand, and how fortuitous that they would be expected to wed. It turns out that over the last few months his son had fallen for the Lord's daughter and had been courting her. "We are in love and we're pregnant," his son continued. Despite the dire circumstances, he could see the emotion for the girl clearly written on his son's face. "I swear, father, that the deed only occurred once. She is a lady and I treat her as such." "We wish to be wed," the lord's daughter piped in, all smiles and sweetness. She had no way of knowing that the stable owner knew of her promiscuity. The stable owner looked at the woman with a critical eye. He knew the child could not be of his line due to the tincture he was secretly putting in his son's food. So the lady was less ladylike than she had let on. But this was a proposition the stable owner could hardly turn down. If he was to divulge his secret, it would not only ruin her reputation, but his own business would suffer, as the Lord's disapproval would come with some dire consequences. Plus, he would be questioned about where he got the tincture from, and he had no wish to cross that particular merchant. No, his son would be wed, and to a lady no less. The stable owner would take the secret to his grave that the child wasn't of his bloodline. By Lilith's grace, he hoped the child at least resembled his son. Hey guys, welcome back to Vielin. We're in the stables area that we've just finished up. There's a lot of work done in this space here for smaller details that you might not necessarily notice. If you did enjoy the story that we've just been through, feel free to leave a like on the video. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the little walk around we do here to show off some of the bits that we've added to the build that you might have missed in that first series. One of the first sections that we've got here is actually the horse field, where the horses would sort of have free rein to be able to run where they like. I've put a little bit of an indent around the place, so it sort of looks like that's where they would get the zoomies and maybe run around along the fence lines and stuff like that. But then there's a few patches where they would love to lie in underneath this big massive tree just here as well. Within this video, we've also done this section here. A lot of detailing went into the sort of areas around this build to just sort of tie in the two sections together. I love the little yellow colours here. I think they look really good for that plant. I'm going to use that reasonably sparingly through the town, but it's nice to have that splash of yellow. Complements the sulcur fruit in the fields really, really well. We've just put a couple of fruit trees in here as well, and some new saplings and some butterflies and things to bring that little area just to life here. We've extended the river area down here with the layers. We've got a little bit more of the goldenrod here through this section, the little flowered area. Over here we've got a little spot that I feel like would be where they would shoe the horses, so they would put new shoes, fresh shoes on the horses. So got a couple hanging up on the wall there. We got a couple of VictoryMod, a couple of Conquest blocks through this space to really elevate the detail. And I feel like they would let them out into this little paddock here once they're done, or they might use this paddock to just separate a couple of horses if they were having trouble with them. Over here is the area where they would break the horses in. So this is a pretty common thing in stables where they would have a little run of an area where they would put the horse on a lead, but the horse would be allowed to sort of run, and it would generally run in a bit of a circle. Through this way, we're getting into the stable owners and the stable owner's son's houses. We got the little fire shed here with all the firewood. Over this way, we've got the son's bedroom. So he's got his own little separate living area as he's grown up. The son has sort of just found his own little space. The father has let him stay in that little separate area because he's sort of sick of hearing his shenanigans. We've put a little storage area underneath the house just here. Pretty simple looking with some VictoryMod again and some Conquest blocks through there. That looks pretty cool. As we go up this area into the stable owner's house, it's pretty simple living as well. Got a nice little bed with the bed head there. Little fire area on here. I know this isn't super realistic, but I just love the look of it. And the little kitchenette area where he cooked for himself. They do pretty much live the bachelor's life, so it's one of the aspects that I tried to sort of maintain with this. The rooms might not be as well kept. I really like this stairwell. This was actually inspired by Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's a bit of a cliche to find inspiration in Kingdom Come Deliverance, but it's such a fantastic game, and I loved this little stairwell setup that they had in one of their builds, so I sort of continued that here. Over this way we've got the actual stables themselves, so let's go in and take a look at this space. Pretty nice area. You can see where the horses would be in each little section. They've got their own little food trough and space to lie down. Mainly they would be let to run free out through this field here. I have to give Andy as Yoda a bit of a shout out when it comes to these doors. You can see these are a little bit different to the time lapse. He popped in stream the other day when we were finishing off some of the details and sort of advised me on the way that the support struts had gone through. Rozsy helped me out with that as well, and I think these look really good. I'm really happy with them. It's a really simple idea, but it has a good impact on the build. Over here we've just got a little cart that's got maybe some goods that have been brought in for the horses. And around the front here we haven't really done too much detail because we've got the market area there that we've got to do next. And I believe I'd assigned this to be one of the churches. It's a bit tricky with Vielin because I think it's going to be a lot bigger than the actual original planning of the town. I think we're going to be pushing further into the forest. But overall this build has really come together nicely. It's been a long time coming for this video, so I thank you all for your patience. I really hope you enjoyed what we've got on show, and I do have a lot more to come. There's a lot more to build on this server, so it's been great to be able to hang out with you guys. Thank you very much for the support on the videos, and we will see you guys next time.